Rotimi Amechi, the Minister of Transportation, and also the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talin, and others may resign today following the directives of Mr. President. Welcome to From the Dailies on Equa Television. I am Owola Bitosin, and I'll be reviewing stories alongside Sele Elisha. Good morning, Sele.
Good morning to Sele.
Hope you had a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Yes, let's move to our papers, and I will be starting with the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper, 9 banks non-performing loans rise and hit 814 billion naira. This is a report with details in page 31. Nigeria spends 86% of revenue on debt services and South Africa 20%. On train abduction, negotiation deadlocked. Federal government seeks foreign assistance, with details in page 17. And we know that the Minister of Transportation, who is Rotimi Amechi, was in Kaduna State, where he met with APC delegates to tell them of his aspiration on his resignation today from being a minister and to look out for his bigger position, that's for presidency. And he spoke about the train abduction, and now we can see that the federal government are seeking for foreign aids on how to fight and how to get those people who have been kidnapped from this train, the Kaduna train abduction. We know that last week on our papers we had where the federal government said they need Chinese to come and assist them in getting those people who have been abducted in this Kaduna train abduction. And now we can see that the Minister of Transportation is saying they need foreign aid. Sele, it's obvious we need foreign aid because it's over a month now those people have been abducted. Foreign aid is really important on how we can get those people. And even over the weekend we had the news where the other pregnant woman was released. We know that there were 2 pregnant women that were abducted during the train abduction. One gave birth in the den of this kidnapper, and the other pregnant woman have been released to her loved ones. But what about the small baby that was given birth to in the den of the kidnapper, and even the mother? They've not had like a good medical attention. These people need to be released. They need to go back to their loved ones. We see that even the families are protesting. The families, there was a video that was released last week where you see the families talking to the federal government that they need their people back, even if it has to be that they will negotiate with the bandits themselves, because they need their loved ones to come back home. You can see children, they've missed their parents. They need the attention of their parents. Something needs to be done about this whole issue of insecurity and even the train abduction. Something needs to be done because we need to see where these people are uniting back to their families. It's long overdue. They've spent a whole lot of time in this place. Something needs to be done, and we'll just hope that this foreign aid that is the federal government is looking out for, it will be very swift, and we'll see that there will be positive outcome from this foreign aid coming to help us in fighting this insecurity and getting how those people will be united back with their families. And coming from ASU, Sisano and NASU, no agreement with federal government, strike not ending soon. Gunmen killed 323 security operatives in 2022. This is a report. MTN Airtel rake in 615 billion naira from calls data in 3 months. And details can be found in page 31. The big story on the Punch says, on blasphemy killing, our children won't attend school again, say Deborah parent. Can to petition UN and US. Government has not contacted us. I went to fetch the corpse myself. Father laments. Northern Khan asks parents to stop sending children to Sokoto schools. Nigeria not an Islamic country. Gumi warns Muslim against killing. Sele, it's really a sad one that lives have to be lost on this issue of religious crisis coming from a particular state. And we see that the killing of Deborah have spiked so many things, unrest even in Sokoto state, and now even in Borno state there is unrest where the students also was accused of blasphemy also, and there's unrest even in Borno State concerning that. We just see there's some intervention need to be done on this issue, because we have to stop this issue of violence. Violence is not the solution. We preach that peace is just the answer. Violence is not the solution to bring about peace in any community or in any state. And now we can see that the parents are saying they won't send their children to any school in Sokoto State. And we saw where a celebrity said it's better off for Christians to go to school in a Christian community while the Muslims go to school in Muslim community. Sela, is that the answer? Then what will happen to the NYSC? That's the National Youth Service Corps, where we see people from the north are sent to the south, people from the south are sent to the east. That's the unity in diversity. But when we resort to everyone going to school only in your geopolitical zone, then where can we talk about unity? Can we talk about progress and even understanding amongst ourselves? We need to look out for ways we can settle issues amongst ourselves. Violence is not the answer. Like, jungle justice is not just the answer. And still concerning the death of Deborah, is really a sad one coming from the parents and even from the Christian community. We see Khan in Sokoto State, and even others are looking out for foreign intervention from UN and US. It's really important. We need to look out for intervention on these things. We should not just stop at the hashtag freedom for justice for Deborah. We should not stop at that, and even stop at shutting down the school in Sokoto. But justice should be served to all whoever took the life of human being, because we need to understand that there is the life of human being is sacrosanct, and it's really of importance. We should not preach violence. We should not preach issue of jungle justice, even among our students and communities. We have the relevant authorities that if issues like this come up, you can easily report such person to people, not for human being to take life of each or our fellow human being. So something needs to be done about it. Those who took the life of Deborah, something to be done. Then other places where there are issue of unrest concerning this death of Deborah, we just need to preach peace and calm and normalcy in such places.
Yeah.
And
Tosi, please just permit me to add a little to this story, because I think if you recall last week while we were looking at the story, I think precisely Friday, we said we need to go back to define exactly what does blasphemy really means. When we go back to know the definition of what blasphemy is, then we go back to exactly what did Deborah do, because if we do not address issues the way they are, Tosi, believe me, we'll keep recording stories like this over and over and over again. We need to tackle these issues from its roots. You clearly remember the imam from Abuja that was suspended. He came out and said what? He has failed as a religious leader. Our leaders have failed us. Parents have failed to teach their kids what the importance of life. And I think we really need to take what he said seriously, and it's really like we could see that playing, because if as religious leader, whether as a Christian or Muslim, regardless of what religion you belong to, if you've really taught your members the importance of life, then we'll not get to this point here. As parents, if you've really taught your kids the importance of life, we'll still not have issues like this, because it's not about religion any longer. Tosi, first and foremost, Nigeria is not an Islamic state or a Christian state. They said it's a secular state, right? And it's expected that first and foremost, before you belong to a particular religion, you are first and foremost a human being. You are first and foremost a Nigerian. That means Tosi, I have the right to work in Borno, I have the right to work in Sokoto, because I'm a Nigerian. So I do not know where we have the issues where, because definitely the Northern Khan are doing this to protect lives of Christians, that we can no longer send our kids to Sokoto school. So what happened to our Christians in Sokoto? We will no longer go to school in Sokoto, we'll start going to schools in other states. We really need to calm down and really define the issues of things. If not, we'll keep having this unrest in various parts of the country. Not just in Sokoto, we're already having unrest even in the south and east that we feel it's mostly occupied by Christians or so we really need to calm down to really define what life and property really mean. We're having rituals. It's not different from the issue of blasphemy. It's not different from that as far as I am concerned, or it's not different from taking life, whether it's as a result of your utterances or not. We really need to calm down to define that every life is important. And when we take the bull by the horn, then we know that we're ready to deal issues like this. Just within the week, we had stories that were coming up that the IG of police said that the person who killed Deborah is not from Nigeria, it's from Niger. And we're having it in the paper this morning. They're coming out to say they want to debunk that rumor that they never came out to say anything like that. Regardless of what it is, there were pictures all over of the person with the matchbox saying that he was taking responsibility and saying, I bombed Deborah. So are we saying that, were we underrated at security agency that we cannot get them? Just like I said, if we are really serious about tackling insecurity, then for those who are sponsoring, whoever has done anything, let the rule of law take its place regardless of who you are. Nobody is above the law in Nigeria. The law is above every other person regardless of who you are. So when we do that, then yes, people will know that the government are serious. They are really they are going to take their words to action. Words are cheap, but we really need to see actions at the end of the day. So we just hope that it's not just going to be another story on our paper, just like we had the Leah Sharibu story. And right now we do not even know where Leah Sharibu is right now. We have lots of Chibok girls that are yet to come back home. We're still having some of these Bethel students that are still in captivity. So what are we doing about that? If we're really serious, not just the government, but as a nation to tackle this, if this foreign aid we need, let's go get this foreign aid and get our feet on the floor and do what is expected of us to do.
Thank you, Sele. Still on the Punch newspaper, NDLEA busts drug cartel, fake employment syndicate, and containers clearing costs jump by 67%, vehicle part prices soar. Amici, Talen, others may resign today. Lassa fever killed 151 in 17 weeks, says NCDC. National Assembly transmits amended Electoral Act to Buhari. And downside Lagos to demolish 6 more buildings, continues crackdown. And 4 arrested as Okada rider kill born Lagos engineer over 100 naira. And we can still issue of jungle justice. So the law should take its full course on the killers of Imo. 73% of workers under contributory pension below 40 years, and this is from Pencom, and that's all on the Punch newspaper.
Thank you, Tosi. Let's take a look at the Daily Sun newspaper. Igbo Elders Council opens up on insecurity and power shift. Detail of that story can be found on page 27. And just last week we had where PDP have suspended zoning. They said they are opening their tickets to whoever is capable. And I remember during the show on National Talk, we discussed the issue of because when we're reading through the papers and some of the stories that came out, the northern elders, the Igbo elders actually said if it was zoned to the south, they would have said that civil war have ended. But for this ticket not to be zoned to the south, that means the civil war is yet to end. So you know what that really means. If you really have a picture, because we were not born that time, but history had it that lots of lives were destroyed during the civil war. There was hunger during the civil war. So if we really want to have a united Nigeria, just like we rightly stated, it doesn't matter whether they're from the north or the south. I think the right thing needs to be done. We need to come down to a round table and say, what can we do concerning power shift? Because if we are saying that if there was an agreement that the power should be shifted to a particular zone and they are being refused because, yes, the primaries are yet to hold, so we know that possibilities can be that we can still have the president coming from the south. But then we know that possibly, would I say that the opportunity for them to be is actually very slim, because we have lots of people. If you look at the presidential list for PDP or from APC, you know that there are quite a number of them. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. But at the end of the day, we need leaders that are credible, that are accountable, that are trustworthy, that are willing to take the bull by the horn to lead Nigeria to be a better country, and that where we'll be united regardless of what religion you belong to, regardless of what ethnic group you have. One thing is very important, that we need to choose leaders that have the heart of Nigeria and to do the right thing for the country.
Yes, so let's still on the issue of power shift. We saw where an elder statement, as per Edwin Clark, said the position of vice president shouldn't go to the south, that they want the position of presidency. And whoever take the position of being vice is seen as incompetent coming from the south. And he even made some statement that such person won't be forgiven. So they look out, they result for the position of being presidency from the south, and they are looking out for that position. I think that's why PDP is going out with the issue of no zoning. So whoever is capable, even coming from the south, has the right to contest. And we just hope and look out for the primary election, because we have people, aspirants from the south, who are vying for the position of presidency. We have Peter Obi, we have the other likes coming out for this position. We just look out for whoever is credible, so that he or she will represent such party for the presidential election.
Thank you, Tosin. And the big story here: tension fears in Borno over alleged fresh blasphemy, with the rider following the story. Security agents on red alert. Northern Governor Sheikh Gumi condemns Deborah's killing. None of killers will make paradise, said Islamic cleric. Those fueling ethnic religious war in the southwest will regret it. This is coming from Gani Adams. Detail of that can be found on page 6. Court suspends sharing of variation funds to oil producing states. NDLEA seizes 203,879 tramadol taps in rates of 4 states. Not ready for power shift to the south. This is coming from Sheikh Husani with the rider, we don't support zoning, says Northern Group. Justice Mary Odili saved my political career. This is coming from Wiki. And we have Ozibanjo Bala Mohammed Saraki, Wu Southeast Jigawa Kogi delegates. With the rider, Governor Emmanuel denies blocking article from seeing Akwa Ibom delegates. You can read more of that story on page 27. Governor Umahi still in presidential race, not vying for Senate. This is coming from Ibuyi government. Detail of that can be found on page 27. We also have a picture story here, so you can do well to get the Daily Sun newspaper and read any of the stories that's of interest to you.
Thank you, Sele. Moving to the Vanguard newspaper on Deborah's death. None of my 7 children will go to school again, says mother. And I know this is coming from a broken mother, a bittered mother who Nigeria has failed. But we just hope that justice will be served, because if justice is served, it doesn't have a way of bringing the lost child back, but it has a way of relieving the parent of this bitterness that they are going through. We're just hoping that the government will do what it's supposed to do on the killers of Deborah. And excitement as Emefiele gets Forbes Best of Africa's Lifetime Achievement Award. On Ukraine-Russia war, presidential power initiative faces new hurdles. And on 2023, APC governors, senators draw battle line over Lawan. Intrigues heighten as presidential aspirant sponsors 7 co-contestants. And party concludes screening of governors, senatorial candidates. On unemployment, pension savings withdrawals reverse 4 years trend. And there's a chart on pension saving and the withdrawal. We can see the data charts. Just do well to look out for the Vanguard newspaper to see the chart on pension savings and the withdrawals in 4 years. As withdrawals by sacked workers rise by 23.7%, NECA TUC react seek urgent government intervention. Oshomole undergoes APC senatorial screening, and hackers can now unlock steel vehicles, NCC warns Nigerians. Amechi gave us money, helped when quizzed by DSS. This is coming from El Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State. And court halts sharing of derivation funds to oil-producing states. Lagos motor park crisis, NURTW orders MC Oluomo to vacate office complex. And on train attack, bandits release pregnant woman. Still on 2023, we want Yoruba referendum, not interim government. This is coming from the group, with details in page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. And that's all on the Vanguard.
On the Voice of Liberty, terrorists kill 7 farmers, imam in Zamfara, drop warning letter. And on Kaduna, farmers threaten to carry arms over incessant kidnapping killings. Isaru Boko Haram regrouping in Borno forest. Indigenes raises alarm. DSS begin venting of political aspirants ahead of the 2023. Still on 2023, I swear nobody will steal public fund if I'm elected as the president. This is coming from Atiku. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see how it goes. The big story here is on crude oil theft. Nigeria loses 3.038 trillion naira in 1 year. This is a report. The federal government may have lost over 3.8 trillion to shortfall in the nation oil production due to continued increase in theft and pipeline vandalism, estimated to have grouped 73 million barrels a year. We just hope that we'll be able to get those who are behind this. Bandits kill 1, abduct 20 in Kaduna. Serap sues federal government for spending 1.48 trillion naira of non-functional refineries with no crude oil. And Stosi, when I saw this story, it's not just about suing them, but we need to know who are the people that are behind it. If we are saying that we spend about 1.48 trillion naira to non-functional refineries, after spending this money, yet our refineries are not working, we still send our crude oil outside the country to be refined and then brought back, we still buy it back again, then that means those who are behind this need to be kept behind bars because they stole money from us and they're not doing anything about it. Our refineries are still not working, we are still suffering. Already we have lost about 78 trillion barrels of oil in a year as a result of oil vandalism and oil theft. That means it's still as a result of this. So I just hope that the government would, or Sarah would not just stop at suing the federal government, because it seems every week we have one issue after the other that Sarah are suing the federal government. It's not just about suing them, but those who are responsible, the rule of law need to take its place, because they have really stolen from the country and yet nothing is being done. If we put them, I'll use them as an example, the contractors or whoever was giving this money and has not worked, if we use them as scapegoats, any other person that's been given a project or any work to be a contractor will be able to work. Why? Because he has seen what was done to his brother as a result of not doing that. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed on that.
Yes, Sele, there is no smoke without fire. Just when we had the issue of the illegal refineries where lives of workers was lost as a result of the illegal refineries in Imo State and even in another state in our country, we had a comment which said it could be that these government officials are the ones sponsoring all these things. They are running these refineries with the taxpayers' money. And we can see it is obvious, Sele, because we have this budget, we have money going to so many places that are not in existence, because we don't even have a refinery in our country, or just for the illegal refineries that we have in so many places. And now we can see money going, budget going to such places. How can we account for all these things? We keep on talking about the auditing office in our country. We have so many organizations, we have institutions even in our country that said for long they've not been audited. How can we give account of money going? Money of taxpayers that are going out on places that people are just using this money for their own personal reasons, for their own selfish reasons. And we can see this issue of these refineries. We can see that these refineries are being run by our politicians and being run even by the high and mighty. And what happened to the taxpayer money? Taxpayer monies are the money being used in these places, and those same taxpayers are the ones used as scapegoats, are the ones used as their life are just used like a sacrifice. We see the number of lives that were lost as a result of this running of these illegal refineries, and nothing is going back to the family. Nothing is even said to the families. Their life just lost just like that. And now we can see this issue going up, even coming from Sarah. We're just hopeful that it will not just stop on this suing these places, but they should go to the root cause on how this money is being gotten and how these illegal refineries are being run, because the illegal refineries are being run on the detriment of the life of people that are working there. Something needs to be done, because we don't want to have records of life being lost. Sele, we're not talking about 1, 2 life. We're talking about lives running to 50, 100 being lost as a result of these illegal refineries. We just hope that something will be done about it, and Sarah will not just stop in this place, but they should find the root cause. And even those who have been using the money of taxpayers illegally should face the full wrath of the law. No one is above the law. They should face the full wrath of, because we need to see justice being served to people. We're just tired. We're tired of reading all these things, and at the end of it, nothing is being done about it. They just move others that are even operating in things like this to look out for ways they can stop all those illegal things and look out for the right thing, because there is dignity in labor, Sele. If we try to promote all these things, illegal activities, then what are we saying to the youth? We see people doing illegal activities because they've seen the high and mighty doing all these things, and they are free. They go out free. So something needs to be done about it. We need to promote issue of dignity in labor, and this starts from even the high and the mighty, so they should know that they are not above the full wrath of the law.
Thank you, Tosin. Other stories still on the Voice of Liberty, still on 2023. Nigerians prefer referendum to election. This is coming from Otomi. And Kaduna train terror attack victim countdown. We have 49 days in captivity. And that's all on the Voice of Liberty.
And before we move to the next paper from the Dailies, we'll be right back after this timeout. Thanks for staying with us on Newspaper Review on Echo Television. Our phone lines are opened and displayed on your screen. Do well to call us, and also do well to drop your comments on our official Facebook page. And we have some comments saying, "Good morning, guys. Thanks for the good work." And someone is also saying, "Watching live from Abuja. Thanks for watching." Do well to drop your comment on stories that interest you on the papers we've been reviewing this morning. Moving to the leadership newspaper, amidst defection to NNPP, Kwankwaso visits Shikaro. Kanu sad over killings, sit-at-home order. This is coming from Soludo, because you know that Governor Chukuma Soludo visited Kanu, and Kanu is also sad about the killings and even the sit-at-home order. So I know when the sit-at-home started, when it started, we kicked against it even on this program, because so many activities like us on a standstill every Monday, and we know that the sit at home is observed every Monday in the East, and so many activities are on a standstill. There are weekends from Friday extend down to Monday. Like today is just a day where they just sit at home, and we know that so many people need to go to work, people need to go to school. Just last week was hard, where some students said they're supposed to write their JAMB on a Monday, and they could not go out to go and write their JAMB, although it was extended to the next day for them to write. But what happened to people that don't have the grace to even go to the next day to write their JAMB? So we need to look into all these things. Yes, you're agitating for your leader, but there are other ways you can agitate. You should not agitate in the ways that will affect other people, affect business. What happens to those people who get their daily income, like on a daily hustle? What happened to such people? So we should look out for other ways, even if you're agitating for your leader, but look out for ways that it won't affect other people, because if you're agitating, other people should not be the ones at the detriment of your agitation. We need to look into this, and we know that when the governor of Anambra State assumed the powers, he said he's going to look out for ways he can kick against the sit at home. He has tried in his own way, but we see that the people are still adamant on the issue of sitting at home. But we're just hopeful that something will be done about it. There are still other ways they can look into the agitation for their leader.
Yeah, Tosi, he can't do this alone. He needs the help from other governors too on the south, because if you're saying the governor of Anambra, we have other governors that are in the south. So if it's left only him, what are the governors of the other states saying? This is a question that viewers and people will be asking. So we just hope that they'll put their heads together and not just leave this burden to only one governor alone.
Yes, Stella, still on the leadership on digital currencies. IMF seeks to modernize payment system. An army bombs Boko Haram commander's envoy, kills several terrorists. 4 days after Deborah's murder, presidential aspirant keep mute, avoid red line in campaign. Deborah's murder deeply distressing. This is from Oshibanjo, and we stand by president's statement, says Amechi and Burufis. Northern governors condemn killing, warn against reprisal attack. Normalcy returns to Sokoto, Catholic diocese count losses. And one day to leadership conference and award, the stars line up, and we can see those who will represent us in the leadership and the conference award, amongst which we have Oshibanjo, we have Tinubu, we have Ned Nwoko and Tambuwal, and even Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, amongst others. And leadership award recognition of 13 years working in the renewable sector. This is coming from By Synergy. And hackers can unlock, steal your vehicles, NCC alerts Nigerians. So we need to be watchful, and we need to look out for ways we can lock our cars, and even we can lock our cars to avoid all these hackers and even people who are stealing. I know there was a time where it was rampant, where people go for occasion, park their cars, and when you come out to get your car, it has been stolen. So we need to look out for other ways we can lock our cars, aside the normal ways of locking your cars, to keep your properties safe. And finally, MFF appoints Pissarro as Super Eagle coach. Details can be found in page 36, and that's all on the leadership newspaper.
And on Daily Independent, again, Euro contractors move to cut 40% workforce. And on Deborah, Ohanaeze condemns destruction of individual businesses' property in Sokoto. Her death must not be swept under the carpet, Northern Can wants. And the big story here, undue government spending worsen Nigerian fiscal deficit woes, with the rider. Analysts say increased debt swelling risks of fiscal crisis. Canvas policy to grow diversified revenue streams. NCC alert on new tactics by hackers to unlock and steal vehicles. Detail of that can be found on page 29. NFF confirmed Pissarro as Super Eagles coach, Finide as assistant. In the LA, seized 203, 879 tramadol taps in rates of 4 states. Forbes honor Emefiele with Best of African Lifetime Achievement Award, and you can read more about their award on page 28. How Buhari ordered Emefiele Malami return to duty post, with the rider. Malami confirms pulling out of governorship race, denies resigning. And the last story here, which is on Serap sues Buhari over failure to prop alleged 1.48 trillion naira on refineries maintenance. Detail of that can be found on page 2. And that's all on the Daily Independent.
On the Guardian newspaper, Buhari, Malami head to Supreme Court, sue National Assembly over Section 84, subsection 12. NPA threatens revocation of Port Concession Park over decaying infrastructure. And on Deborah's death, Northern governors condemn killing, call for calm. Sokoto school to remain shut. From Deborah's parents, we can't say anything, we have left all to God. Police deny reports identifying suspected killer as foreigner. And Ohanaeze Ndibo, OPC, others condemn destruction of Igbo property, charge northern leaders to halt Sokoto mayhem. On Blasphemy, withdraw from Interreligion Council, Northern can tell Christian leaders. Tekan demands justice for slain Deborah Samuel. Though it took days to come, the Northern Governors Forum has condemned the killing of Deborah Samuel Yakubu, a student of Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto State, an allegation of blasphemy, while calling for calm. Chairman of the Forum and Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, in a statement yesterday expressed the governor's concern about the development, which was clearly an extrajudicial measure of addressing perceived interaction. Serap sues Buhari, Malami wants answer over 1.48 trillion naira spent on refineries. Hackers can unlock, steal your vehicles, NCC warns Nigerians. An APC consensus arrangement in Cross River collapses. Details can be found in page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. The last story, NMA to brainstorm on tackling health and emergencies and others. And that's all on the Guardian newspaper.
On a new Telegraph, Nigerians in diaspora remit $106.58 billion in 5 years. You can continue to read more of that on page 3. Naira devaluation to shrink external reserve to $338 billion. Detail of that can be found on page 22. And still in 2023, Nigeria burning needs immediate turnaround, says Hayuta Dean. And Soludo Kano against killing, kidnapping in the southeast. Still on insecurity, Arewa Group wants primaries postponed, polls staggered. On the big story here, which was on Electoral Amendment Act 2022, Buhari, Malami dragged the National Assembly to Supreme Court, seek interpretation of Section 84, subsection 12. Detail of that story can be found on page 4. And on 2023, the Southeast may reconsider existence as Nigerians. This is coming from Igbo elders. Says political parties must abide by the zoning principle. And on 2023 polls stroke Deborah, we won't vote Muslim candidate, says the PFN. Vows to mobilize its 65 million members, the church, as CAN calls for nationwide protests May 22nd. Terminate participation in NERIC, Northern CAN urges Christian leaders. Condemn Deborah's killing or forget our votes. This is coming from Unican tells politicians. And you can read more of that on page 2, 4, 6, 8, and page 25. Northern governors taken seek justice. Sukkot suspends schools resumption by 1 week. This is coming, and also call members to remain indoors. Excuse me. We have a study here that says antibiotic use raises risks of inflammatory bowel disease. You can read more about that study on page 7 of the New Telegraph, and that's all on the New Telegraph.
On Al Jazeera Nigeria on 2023, Amechi bows out today, says he will pursue presidential ambition in earnest. Blames Kaduna train attack on non-approval of surveillance contract. NSCDC inaugurates special female squad against kidnapping, and why National Assembly must okay mayoral ministerial slot. This is from the FCT reps. Suspected kidnappers kill PDP chieftain in Akwa Ibom. And on banditry, we've lost faith in Niger government, says lawmakers. NDLEA seizes 203,879 tramadol tablets in 4 states. And Yobe reps dumps APC for NNPP, assures of victory. On ASU strike, my children also affected, says Inwajuiba. And bandits kill villagers, declares no farming in Zamfara. Sele, we can see that the issue of insecurity now have started again in Zamfara state. I know last week it was like it was cool, it was calm in Zamfara state, and now we can see that it has started, and people are even saying they've lost faith in Niger government. Lawmakers are saying they've lost faith in Niger state government, and now we can see when it's time for farming activities, because of the insecurity, they have declared no farming in Zamfara, and we see the issue of food hunger. So like, if there is no farming and there is the hike in food prices, how do you expect people to feed? Because hunger even kills people very fast. How do you expect people to feed with this issue of no farming? Because there are people who even depend solely on this farming activity, so that they go out, farm, and even get things to feed, crops to feed themselves and even their families. Now we are seeing this issue of no farming. What is the measures that is made for availability of food for these people? We saw where the president of the African Development Bank said we should invest in other sectors that will help us grow and help us wipe away this food hunger as a result of this Russian-Ukraine war. It's affecting our nation. When you talk about the wheat, even other crops, that other grains that come into the country for people to even feed on, it's been affected, and now we're looking out for ways we can invest in our farming, in the agricultural sector, and a particular state is looking out for ways they cannot farm because of this issue of insecurity. We just need to look into this, because when people start losing faith in their government, you can see that there is no hope again any longer. We need to look into all these things and even put hope and smiles even in the face of people who have lost hope in their country. Something needs to be done about this whole thing on the issue of insecurity, down to availability of food. So like, you could imagine people with the issue of this insecurity, with the issue of hunger again. You know that a hungry man is an angry man. True. We need to do something about this thing. Niger State government need to intervene speedily on how food can be available, and aside food being available, on how they can deal with this issue of insecurity, because this terrorist group are having a wild time even in Zamfara, in all these places. Something needs to be done about issue of insecurity, and this still go down to the foreign aid. If foreign aid is needed to come and help us in fighting this issue of insecurity, then we will be grateful, because people are tired of this issue, because it's affecting not just loss of life, it's affecting down to even foodstuff, it's affecting businesses, it's affecting so many things. So we need to look into all these things speedily. And still on the Al Jazeera newspaper, Jaiz Bank posts 1 billion naira net profit in first quarter 2022, and that's all on the Al Jazeera Nigeria newspaper.
And on Nigerian Tribune, how open defecation fuels poliomyelitis, other infectious disease in Nigeria. You can read more about that disease on page 4. Collapsing port, MPA may revoke concession agreement of 5 terminal operators. Hackers can now unlock start vehicle engines wirelessly. This is coming from the NCC alert. And we have on the new money laundering rule, inbound, outbound travelers to forfeit undisclosed funds, with the rider Nigerian prohibit shell banking operations anonymous accounts. You can read more of that on page 3. And on screening, APC aspirant face criminal record and certificate scrutiny, with the rider party screen 145 governors, 351 national aspirants. State Assembly screening under threat. Chieftains decry shoddy arrangements. Detail of that can be found on page 23 and 25. Return to cabinet, uncertainty over fate of Malemi and Ingige. Ekiti near COVID-19 free status as 70,000 samples return negative, and that's what we want to hear, that more states are now declared COVID-19 free. And we have gunmen ambush police convoy, kill 5 cops in Bayelsa. This is really a sad one. We hope they'll be brought to book. Prophet Muhammad was insulted while alive. He didn't indict anyone to kill. This is coming from Gumi. With the rider, Northern Governors IPAN condemns Deborah's mother. Police deny online report linking suspect to Niger Republic. Sukkot government suspend resumption of schools by 1 month. Lawlessness must not be swept under the carpet. This is coming from CAN, the Northern CAN group. And detail of that can be found on page 28. We also have a picture story here, so you can do well to get the Nigerian Tribune and need any of the stories that's of the interest to you.
On the Nation newspaper, what Kanu told me about Southeast killings by Soludo. Nobody has contacted us, says slain Deborah's dad. And SEC limits digital currency offers to 10 billion naira. Oshomole, 350 others screened for APC Senate ticket. And 2 headers charged for abduction. Details can be found in page 2 of The Nation. The big story, Atiku, Wike, Saraki, others battle for 3,700 delegates. Oyo, Oshun, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Kaduna, Bauchi among those with large numbers of votes. And we can see the figures on the front page of The Nation newspaper. On resignation directive, Amechi, Silva, Talon, others to go today. Presidential advisors join Jigawa governor's race. And Buhari, Malami asks Supreme Court to void Electoral Act Section 84, subsection 12. NDLEA seizes 203,897 tramadol in Abia, Kaduna, Yobe, Kogi raid, with details in page 2, and that's all on the Nation newspaper.
And on the Daily Trust newspaper, Kanu APC crisis. Shakaru set to dump ruling party today. And on Electoral Act, Buhari, Attorney General of the Federation, heads to the Supreme Court. And the big story, the aftermath of resignation, just still begins for vacant ministerial positions, with the rider Buhari's assurance spur lobby in states. Silva yet to resign as petroleum minister. This is coming from his aide. President will decide on ministers who made U-turn. This is coming from a spokesman. Passengers spend night at airport as fuel shortage bites harder. And on Blasphemy, Khan asks members to quit NIREN, calm returns to Sukkot. KB governorship intrigues as Malami's withdrawal changes equation. And teenagers set ablaze over motorcycle theft in Edo. Detail of that can be found on page 24, and that's all on the Daily Trust newspaper.
And the last paper I'll be taking this morning is this day newspaper. The federal government is saying Total Energies has invested almost $30 billion in Nigeria within 8 years. Lampoon's Shell, Chevron, ExxonMobil for now investing enough in country's oil and the gas sector. Nigeria remains at the heart of our strategy, says multinational oil company. Declare interest to expand into electricity sector. And Aisha Buhari to APC, don't use free forms to relegate women in 2023. Additional meets Maman Daura, intensify lobby of Buhari's circle, with the rider friend says he'll take unpaid leave after convention if successful. Activists keep mum. And Northern Governors Gumi condemn mother of Deborah, appeal for calm. The rider, anyone who kills Christian will not see paradise, Islamic scholar says. Kaigama says effort at interreligious harmony not to stop. Northern State chapter of CAN urge boycott of interreligious council. Tinubu, Obi, Saraki, Amechi, Bello, Bakare, Wike, others keep mum over killings. Asman Air disclaim Captain Abubakar, and the picture story here on a pilgrimage to the hilltop. We can see the presidential aspirant Chief Dele Momodu visiting the former president Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida at his hometown in Mina, and we can see still on his aspiration for the presidential position come 2023. Thank you, Sele, for doing this with me, and this is how far we can go on the program this morning. Keep a date with us tomorrow, where we bring fresh episode and fresh stories making rounds in our nation. Have a blessed day.